Alrighty, let's do a walk around of this 2015 Cadillac Escalade. This is the regular size model. They also sell this in an extended ESV longer version that's almost 2 feet longer than this. Cadillac people will notice some of the exterior enhancements that have been made for the new model here. Most notably, these tall stacked vertical taillights, which are about twice as high as the taillights on the old one. And they harken back to the Cadillacs of the 50s and the 60s. I think they look great, really attractive looking. As we move on over to the front of the car, this nice, well, really threatening looking, big, hulking front end. Cadillac really doubled down on the aggressiveness of this vehicle, but it's not cartoonish like a Hummer was. It's just a very bold and serious looking car. This is not a wallflower vehicle. Get a sense of just how looming it will look as it bears down on you in the rear view mirror. Got these LED stacked taillights, or headlights, excuse me. I'm addled, it's been a long week. But the really hip and happening news is that the already strong 6.2 liter V8 that's standard in this thing, or was standard in it last year, has been upgraded to 420 horsepower versus 403 last year. And I contrast that to what Ford has done with the poor old Lincoln Navigator, which is one of the competitor models that the Cadillac goes up against. And the 15 Navigator, the poor thing, no longer comes standard with a V8. Ford is putting its EcoBoost V6, twin-turbo V6, as a standard engine in the Navigator for next year. And it only makes 365 horsepower. And the optional V8 is truly pathetic. The 5.4 liter in the Navigator makes 310 horsepower, again, versus 420 in this Cadillac. The performance of this thing is far and away class best. The rear-wheel drive version can get to 60 in about 6.3 seconds. That's 2 full seconds quicker than the Lincoln. Next closest thing is an Infiniti QX80, which, by the way, is actually slightly longer by about 4.4 inches than the standard model Escalade, which you see here. But to me, this is just about the right size. It's not too overwhelmingly huge to make it unmanageable to drive. And one of the other things about it that makes it easy to maneuver, or easier to maneuver, it's got a considerably tighter turning radius than most of its rivals. It's about 39.1 feet versus as much as I think 42 something in the Lincoln. I've got that in the review, which is up at epautos.com. I can't keep all the stats in my head. It's also not quite as tall as some of the others in the segment, so it's not as challenged by low-ceilinged parking garages, and it just doesn't feel quite as top-heavy as some of the other ones. Let's take a look at the inside here. Also, it has class-leading front seat legroom, 45 inches, which is tremendous, versus I think about 39 in the Lincoln. Again, if you go to epautos.com, the article will have all the actual specs. And that doesn't come at the cost of the second row. There's 39 and change inches of room back here, which is virtually the same as is in the Navigator. The Q has a little bit more, but again, you lose the front seat room, and the Q is not nearly as speedy as this thing is. And incidentally, I should mention also that in addition to being the speediest thing in the segment, this Cadillac also gets the best mileage in the segment. It gets better gas mileage than the 14 version of this. It's not magnificent gas mileage, but you know, for something that weighs close to 6,000 pounds, it's pretty impressive. I drove this thing down to Raleigh, North Carolina from here in the woods in rural southwest Virginia, and I still had about half a tank left when I got there. The tank is about 26 gallons, filling it about halfway full takes about $40. Let's take a look at the inside here. And you got pros and you got cons. Saying hello is showing you that. You got a new flat screen monitor in the front. Let me kick it on to life here. This dash is configurable. You can alter it to suit. This is becoming standard across the Cadillac line. And it's nice that you see this also, for example, in some of the new Mercedes, and it's taken its cues from aviation. You'll see this kind of flat screen display now in an Airbus or in a Gulfstream. It's very attractive. I like it. I love the column shifter. Makes a hell of a lot more sense to me than putting the shifter on the console where it takes up a lot of space. Here you've got space, which you wouldn't have if this had been up here. One thing I'm not a big fan of, Cadillac calls this their CUE interface, and this is how you operate the controls for the radio and various other things. And the problem with it is that while you're driving, the vehicle is going to be vibrating a little bit, and your hand's going to be moving a little bit, and you're trying to touch what you want it to touch. And now it's easy enough to do it while the vehicle's stationary, but when you're moving, your hand's going to go like this, and you're going to find that instead of hitting, say, that to change the radio station, you might hit that to change from one media form to another. Not a huge fan of it. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of, and Cadillac has incorporated this in all of its new vehicles. These are what they call haptic or finger swipe or touchpad controls. And again, it looks really slick, it looks really high-end, but functionally, I'd rather have a knob to turn or a button to push up or down. Here's how it's supposed to work. You swipe your finger like that to increase the radio volume, or to increase it, or to decrease it, and so on, or to tap this up. So now you can see I'm tapping it and it's not wanting to change. I'm trying to get the heat to go higher or the cold to go colder, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And again, while you're driving, if your hand jiggles at all, it's going to change. So I'm not a really big fan of that. Here's a little something that's kind of neat. You've got a power glove box opener. So if I push that, it pops open the glove box, and that's neat, but you still can't barely reach it, so I'm not sure what the big advantage of it is, but it's kind of nice. The interior is really nice looking, attractive, well laid out. This particular model has the heads-up display, which probably you can't see on the camera here. Also driver info. What else? You can get a Blu-ray player in this. You can get, let me turn it off here. You can get stairs that fold out with puddle lighting. Pretty much everything that you'd expect in a vehicle in this class. I really like it a lot. The only thing that I was kind of shocked to discover when I got the stats and did all the research and prep for writing my review is that the base price is up by almost $8,000 relative to last year, which is a pretty huge jump. Now granted, it's been improved, it's got a lot of new stuff on it, but that is a big price jump. Oh, and I almost forgot the final thing. This one has the 22-inch rims. The 20s are standard on the base model, and even though it's got the magnetic ride control system, which was developed from the Corvette, the ride, which is selectable, you've got comfort and sport, is pretty stiff, and it's stiff because of these big wheels and the low aspect ratio tires that come on it. The Navigator, despite being slow, has a softer ride, and part of the reason that it's got a softer ride is that it's got 18-inch wheels standard. You can go higher if you want to, but I personally would like it if Cadillac offered an 18-inch wheel and tire package on this, just to make the ride a little bit more appropriate for a luxury car. But then again, the people who are looking at this kind of vehicle tend to like the really big wheels. So you let me know what you think either way. The review is up at epautos.com, and I'll appreciate your comments, and we'll catch up with you next time.